name is Shani Jones. I am your resident certified sex coach, and this is DOYOU KNKY, which stands for Do You Know the New Kinky? We are here today doing our summary of our Daily Reflections podcast based on the book Mirror of Intimacy that I do on Spotify. So I encourage you, if you are here because you listen to the podcast already, thank you so much. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you can receive these notifications. But more so than that, I would like for you to make sure that you provide your feedback and commentary based on what it is that you heard from the authors and what you heard from me. You know, again, I don't always agree with the authors, and I know I say that a lot, but I don't. And, you know, you might not agree with me, and that's fine. I think that the major takeaway from all of this is that we come together to have these conversations. You know, sex is a part of our lives. It's not going to go anywhere at a minimum for the sake of human existence. So, you know, we're not always having sex to make babies. So in those moments where we're not just having sex to make babies, let's make sure we're putting our best work in, you know, and we want to enjoy it. Sex is not intended to be a burden. Sex is not intended to be something that should be a chore, something that you do just for the sake of doing it to get out of it. Now, everybody is affected a little bit differently. We have different sex drives. We have different libidos. All of these conversations will come up actually as part of other as if you're following me on other social media, which I will give you, you'll see those conversations as well. But these are conversations that we should just kind of normalize. And that's the whole point of these daily reflections, or because we're giving ourselves a topic to discuss. And we normalize conversations about sex when we open our mouths and we talk about them as adult beings, as human sexual beings, as people who have sex built into our DNA. And, you know, when we talk about sex, that's just such a broad trigger word. It really is. So in this instance, you know, sex is the word for biological assignment at birth, male or female. Sex is also an activity that you participate in when you want to have coitus. This can be inclusive of or standalone, separate with, you know, what is considered foreplay or pre-play, you know, precursor type of thing leading up to penetration, but doesn't have to. It can be a standalone, you know, or, you know, leading into orgasm, but doesn't have to, because sex, penetrative sex, oral sex can be good as a standalone. It doesn't have to lead to that. So please be gentle with me as I try to convey a lot of potential messages into smaller words so that I don't have to extend my vocabulary just to be so inclusive. And again, I'm going to work on a video / podcast that I'm very excited about that will kind of touch on that. So I'm getting ready for these academic studies that I got coming up. So you guys be on the lookout. I'm going to need your help on this mission to get me through my doctorate. I'm putting it out there. You guys are going to get me through my doctorate. Okay. Let's see. I don't even know if I did this part. I just thought, okay, let me start again. All right. This is the way you can find me. Okay, that's good. It's already there. These are the ways that you can find me on social media and through my website, as well as email. We are reading from the book Mirror of Intimacy, Daily Reflections on Emotional and Erotic Intelligence. This is the book. This is the thickness of the book. So we will be here all year long. Please book your tickets early. The book was written by Alexandra Katakis and Tom Bliss, and this was the ASEC 2015 Book of the Year. So, as I will say, I'm dropping things. As I will say in the podcast, in the daily podcast, I don't think that the day is really relevant, meaning that they had to find something to talk about. And so we picked, they picked a topic for that particular day, just like I think the year is a bit irrelevant. This book was the 2015 ASEC Book of the Year, and I'm recording in 2022. All of that to say, let's get into our weekly review. All right, so our week 3, January week 3 summary. On the 17th, we talked about autonomy. And with autonomy, there was, we jumped right into it with bisexual outcasts based on some readings that I have in my education certification studies. You know, I don't know that you'll understand, agree, or even aware of the fact that even within subgroups, there is or can be, in my head I'm saying discrimination, there can be basically making people outcasts. Like bisexuals don't fit into the binary heteronormative or homonormative narrative, which is also in our word of the week this week. They don't fit. So because there are things that, you know, complicate their identity, where they don't identify as gay and they don't identify as straight. So, you know, where do they fit in that binary? And so, you know, it just goes to show that, you know, even when we try to make things simple, that we don't always, you know, again, going back to me using a whole lot of words to make something more understandable, trying to be inclusive, but not really working, because eventually I'm still going to exclude somebody. And that's leading, it's been so yummy, it's leading all into the thing that I want to write. So maybe a little mini paper, I don't know. Yeah, so it being autonomous in a relationship, what does that mean? And then being able to be separate individuals, but also growing together as a couple. You know, we have to have that growth and communication, because as relationships grow over time, you know, there are certain things that just happen. Like we get a routine, we become aware of each other, we know each other's patterns. You know, some of the surprise is gone, you know, whereas I was thinking of comedians because they always bring this up, you know, whereas when you were first in a relationship, you never farted in front of your partner, and then here you are, fast forward a year, you busted it off like, you know, it's nothing. So, you know, you've gotten past that point where you're no longer uncomfortable, where you let go of that representative. But, you know, you got to keep that going. You also have to find your community. So even though autonomy doesn't mean being alone, autonomy means having the capacity to do things for yourself, where you're not necessarily reliant on somebody else to kind of dictate the comings and goings of your life. You should be able to share that information, but not necessarily have somebody, you know, waving the wand to tell you what to do. That was what we talked about on the 17th. And I'm going to try to get through these. I am definitely trying to be mindful. I know how I can get, I'm so sorry, I know. But on the 18th, distance, talking about, you know, how do we really feel about when we are away from our partners for an extended amount of time, and, you know, what should our reaction be, or what is a good reaction for you when you do finally reconnect with that partner? Does it actually create or the spark that could be missing versus relationships where everybody is together, you know, all the time? You know, what about when people are being distant on purpose? You know, have you ever been in that situation where you feel like you want to get close to somebody, but Instead of getting close, they're constantly pulling back. They're pulling back, so leading to the next one about running away. Sometimes people aren't ready to expose their true selves, are not ready to, be that vulnerable. And if you're not ready to be that vulnerable, then, you're going to pull back. You're not going to open up to somebody. It's not going to be easy for you. But, the whole purpose is to not run away, be there, give it a chance to actually see if a relationship can develop into something because you decided to be vulnerable. On the 19th, we talked about happiness. And this is a new word for me, cherophobia. And so just imagine being ultimately happy. Now, remember the topic is happiness, but as I am the one giving my feedback, you have to go to the authors to get most of what it is that they have to say. You have to go to the podcast to hear what the authors hear what I read the authors had to say. So happiness, I think that the world cannot survive without happiness. It's something that can drive us. If we can be in a shitty mood and we hear a song that just makes us smile, we see a picture of a loved one or a pet that just, makes us so happy, it can turn around something that has been gnawing at you. So happiness is healing. But I also think that there's too much of it, or there can be, depending on the situation. There are certain people that just are always highly caffeinated, I believe. So, that's just, I kind of live the middle of the road, between optimist and pessimist. So you get that realist. I think that's who I am. But the answer here is to live your life. You want to create memories that make you smile, that make you remember that you were here. So those are the things that make us happy. All right, let's see. On the 20th, we talked about validation. Validation is something that we need. As human beings, we are vulnerable. We are, insecure at times. We are, in my head, I'm saying conceited. We want that acknowledgement. We want somebody to tell us how good we are, or how smart we are, or how pretty we are, how strong we are, how funny we are. We want those accolades. You see how big I'm smiling just even, thinking of, those words being thrown on top of you. You're the receiver of those things. And when people voluntarily do that, great. But we kind of make a mistake when we seek validation, especially when we seek validation through manipulation. Like, it's not a good look to try to trick a charm out of me. It's better to look from within. If I should not rely on finding somebody else to validate me if I can't validate myself. If I can't be a person that can stand up and be proud of who I am and what I've done and the things that I've accomplished and the things that I've yet to accomplish, and all of that, and keep it all in my brain and in the back of my mind to project. If I can't do that, why should I expect somebody else to do that for me? So just stay away from looking for external. Work on trying to get that validation from within. And when you want true validation, you can have people that will agree with you for the sake of agreeing with you, or not agree with you but acknowledge you, to say, yes, I've heard you, I understand that this is how you feel, without ever jumping in to agree or disagree or to push an agenda that is alternative of yours. But if you ask for honest feedback, be prepared to get it. It might not be what you want to hear, but if you ask, assume that the person that you ask because you respect that person's opinion. You wanted to hear that person's opinion, and therefore you will take that person's opinion with the intention that they are telling it to you because they want to help you grow and develop and be a better person. I will tell you, I have not always heard things that I like to hear about me. But after I heard them, I couldn't do anything but acknowledge the truth. I know me. I know how I can be. And so sometimes it's really just hard to hear. But the people that care about you will tell you the truth if you ask them, but just don't shoot the messenger. It's the reflection of you, which is, if we skip ahead just for a hot second to the 23rd, that's the narrative. Just be mindful of the story that people will tell. So, okay, I'm going for it. The 21st, we're talking about communion. Okay, so I spent a lot of time in the first part of this episode talking about how I go off script, which I do in a couple of episodes, but it's really just to explain why I go off script, not to really go off script. So you see the point, you see what happens. Okay, the author started off really dark, and I was confused, and I was like, I don't like this. Can't we be positive? Can't we be happy? But I get where they were coming from. So as far as communion, I really focused on the fact that the internet has opened us up to be a global community. We are not, separated from each other from millions of miles anymore. We are separated by fiber optic cables that run through the ocean that put us in real time, within, milliseconds of each other. So I can see parts of the world I never thought that I would see, from my dining room, which is, where I am now, at my sexual health and wellness salon, which you can go to the website, check out. I can visit people, I can find people, I can connect with people that have the same interests as I do. And that interest can be about anything, but when it's about sex, oh my God, you never know who's out there. You can always, people have tended to feel so small and so isolated and so alone that, they think that they are the only ones. And when they find that other unicorn out in the world, and then one unicorn returns 2, and 2 becomes 3, and 3 becomes 6, you find that you're not alone. The same thing happens with people who have, rare medical conditions. When you find that there's somebody else out there that's like you, it's like, oh my God, that's where your communion comes from. And we need to build on that as part of community. And I also make a note here that I kept saying commune instead of communion, so please forgive me. Excitation. This one we're talking about, the authors in this regard didn't talk a lot about sex, and as the resident certified sex coach, I'm going to talk about sex, so I just kind of turned it into what it is that I wanted to talk about, which was sex. And so I asked you, I made sure that excitation isn't a word, at least not for me, that is in everyday conversation. So I made sure that I wanted to define it for you, just in case you didn't know what it was, not assuming that you don't. But sometimes I have to look at what ATM means so I can remember. And side note, and this is how I diverge, but hopefully you'll get it. I have to look up what ATM means, and it depends on which part of my brain I'm using to get the answer. So if you know what I mean, put it in the comments. Sorry, I digress. So exaltation, I defined it, and I asked, have you ever been exalted? Have you ever been in a grip of ecstasy that was just like the highest of highs? Sometimes we don't always get that, so if we can't be high all the time, we can have those moments, but those moments are moments, and those moments are intended to go away. And we can't be depressed or down because they're gone, but we can live in anticipation for when they come back. And the way that we can make them come back is by getting to know our own bodies. I have a lot of people that, especially women who are not comfortable with masturbation. And I'm going to do a whole nother conversation series on masturbation. Series on masturbation. And I get it. I get it that we as women didn't necessarily have the teachings, nor the privacy, nor the support, without having a whole bunch of negative talk in our head about our bodies, about sexuality, about everything coming up. And from my understanding, I am not of the millennial generation, so I don't always know what the comings up are. I'm feeling not my age, but my maturity in the society now. I could be some of these people's mothers, so I respect my station in this developing culture. But all of that to say, be aware of your body. And then as you get to know your body, as you can tell that narrative to your partner about your body, or what feels good, where to be touched, how to be touched, what to be touched with. Once you're able to tell that story, you can kind of dictate that excitation a little bit better. And finally, our narrative. This was really about why I chose this book to read, and the goal that I hope to manage for the next year is to stay on it, to make this a daily part of my life. And so far, I'm 23 days in. So, yeah, I think after 21, it becomes a habit. So, I should be good. We'll see how it goes. Also about being the story that you want to hear when you're dead. And that made me think of, the thing where they say somebody called and they woke up dead. No, you can't hear after you're dead. But the point is, if you got to be the spirit listening to your service, wouldn't you want to sit there and be hearing stories of love and respect and admiration, and not of negativity and rot and misery? I don't know. I'm looking forward to being a whisper in my funeral, and they talk about this journey about becoming a sex coach and a sexuality educator, and hopefully a pioneer in the Black community to help break down the walls and the stigmas about sex and sexuality overall, and to help grow a new generation of young adults and children into a new world, I guess, where they don't need coaches and therapists and things like that, where, we evolve as people and sex becomes a regular thing. All right, I am reaching right up there. I said I wasn't, but I did. Anyway, thank you for listening. Hopefully you made it all the way through. My name, again, is Shani Jones. I am your resident certified sex coach. You can skip back to the beginning where the slide shows you how to get in touch with me through social media. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to follow and to share and to comment and to do all of those wonderful things. Please check out the website. I will see you again next week. And also look for I'm planning some YouTube videos, like I said, that aren't related to this, but you can expect to see at a minimum a weekly summary for our daily reflections. And I'll be posting some other content too. Also, feel free to send me requests on topics that you might want. I am also, I'm excited to announce the K&KY Coaches Corner. So I will be taking questions and concerns that have been posed and provide a mini coaching advice type of, it's not an hour, no, but a segment to discuss these issues that people are presenting. So I look forward to doing that with you. Again, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you. I appreciate you, and I will talk to you soon.